In ancient Japan, there was a reason certain men were trusted with lives, land, and legacy. It was not strength. It was not intelligence. It was not even courage. It was this: when a samurai said he would, the world adjusted accordingly. He means well. That is the most dangerous part, because good intentions give him permission to delay judgment. They soften the blade before it ever touches skin. He tells his team he will follow up, not as a lie, but as a promise he fully expects his future self to keep. He tells his family he will be present, not falsely, but with a quiet condition attached. He tells himself this time is different, because it always feels different at the beginning, and in the moment he believes it. His chest tightens with resolve. His mind rehearses the version of himself that finally follows through. For a brief second, identity feels aligned. Then the moment passes. Days move forward without ceremony. The urgency that once burned hot cools into background heat. Energy fades, not suddenly, but politely. Distractions do not attack him. They wait. He does not collapse under pressure. There is no dramatic failure, no single decision he can point to and say, this is where it went wrong. He erodes. A skipped follow. Up here, a postponed conversation there. A quiet internal negotiation he barely notices. Just enough compromise to avoid discomfort. Just enough delay to feel reasonable. The modern world calls this normal. It gives it names that sound harmless. Burnout, balance, flexibility, being human. Ancient Japan did not. Bushido did not concern itself with intention. It did not care what a man meant to do when conditions improved. It asked a colder question. A simpler one: what can be relied upon? Because on a battlefield, intention is invisible. Only action leaves a mark. Only consistency survives contact with reality. To the samurai, unreliability was not a matter of poor planning. It was not a scheduling error. It was not excused by talent or potential. It was a flaw of character. A man who could not be relied upon was already broken, even if no one had said it out loud yet. They understood something the modern mind avoids. Character is not built in moments of intensity. It is revealed in moments of quiet. In the space between promise and follow-through. In what happens after motivation dies. A cracked blade still looks sharp, until it is needed, and character, once cracked, was visible to all, not because others were watching closely, but because life always tests reliability without announcing the test. By the time he realizes this, the pattern has already formed. The erosion has already done its work, and the most unsettling truth remains. No one betrayed him. No system failed him. No enemy intervened. He negotiated with himself, and he lost. Samurai were not feared because they were violent. Violence was common. Chaos was everywhere. They were feared because they were predictable. Not predictable in habit, but in essence. Once a samurai committed, the outcome was already decided. There was no bargaining phase, no emotional recalibration, no private debate at dawn. A vow was not an expression of feeling. It was an alteration of structure. Something in the man's internal architecture shifted and locked. Words were treated like bones set once, poorly set once, and the body never moves the same again. Zen sharpened this into steel. It stripped away the question of motivation entirely. It removed the false drama of readiness. It left only action, clean and empty. When the bell rang, the monk moved. Not because the body felt willing, not because the mind felt aligned, but because the sound had already decided for him. Readiness was irrelevant. Hesitation was indulgence. Emotion was weather. Action remained. The modern mind finds this cruel, inflexible, inhuman. But the samurai saw something else. They saw freedom, because a man who does not negotiate with himself is no longer at war internally. There is silence where argument used to be. Stillness where friction once lived. The last Ronin lived by this long after banners fell. Long after names stopped carrying weight. When there was no lord to witness his consistency, no village to reward it. No consequence except the slow judgment of his own reflection. Reliability became internal. Not something performed, something embodied. Bushido taught that a man's word was an extension of his spine, invisible, but load-bearing. It held everything upright. Bend it once, and the posture changes forever, not dramatically subtly. The shoulders round. The stance weakens. The man begins to compensate. He speaks carefully. He promises conditionally. He builds escape routes into his language. What once was alignment becomes management. This shattered the modern illusion that consistency is about discipline. Discipline implies force, effort, endurance, against resistance. That is not what this is. This is identity. The man who decides once versus the man who negotiates daily. One lives in silence. The other lives in constant internal debate. The samurai understood that every broken vow trains the nervous system to expect retreat. Every exception teaches the body that words are flexible, that nothing is final. And once nothing is final, nothing is real. So they removed the option. Not out of cruelty, out of clarity. Because a man who cannot rely on himself will eventually learn that no one else does either. And by the time he notices, the system is already complete. Your biology will resist becoming reliable. Not aggressively, not loudly, but constantly. The brain hunts novelty the way a starving animal hunts movement. What is new feels alive. What is repeated feels dead. So the mind drifts quietly toward stimulation, toward interruption, toward anything that delays commitment. The ego seeks escape, not from failure, but from consequence. It looks for exits before the room fills with pressure. It reframes retreat as intelligence, calls hesitation, being realistic, calls withdrawal, self-care. The body seeks comfort, warmth, rest, the shortest distance between now and relief. These forces do not argue with you. They do not shout, they whisper. They wait until you are tired enough to agree. Each broken promise releases relief. A soft exhale in the chest. The tension dissolves, the cost is deferred. And the nervous system learns something dangerous. That escape works. Each kept promise demands cost immediate, physical, unforgiving. There is friction, resistance. A moment where the body asks why it must move when stillness would feel better. Zen saw this clearly. It recognized the self as something that clings to ease, clings to preference, clings to the illusion that comfort is neutral. Bushido was less gentle. It named the same impulse differently: fear, wearing reason's mask. Fear disguised as logic, fear pretending to be wisdom. Both traditions agreed on one thing: the resistance is not a flaw, it is the test. Modern psychology, stripped of poetry, arrives at the same verdict. Every broken commitment trains the brain to distrust future intentions. Not morally, neurologically. The signal becomes clear. Words mean little. Action is uncertain. Delay is expected. You do not lose credibility with others first. You lose it with yourself. The voice that once said, "I will," starts to sound hollow. The body hesitates when the command is given. The mind prepares excuses before effort begins. And once that happens, no system works. No planner saves you. No routine holds. No surge of motivation survives. First contact with resistance. Because motivation depends on belief, and belief depends on evidence. The war is not external. There is no enemy charging the gate. No dramatic moment of collapse. It is the quiet sabotage between intention and execution, the pause before action, the bargain made in silence, the moment you choose relief over alignment. That is where the blade turns inward, not violently, precisely. And it happens every day until a man either becomes reliable or stops expecting himself to be. Samurai did not manage motivation. Motivation was considered unstable, too dependent on mood, too easily corrupted by fatigue. They eliminated negotiation, because negotiation implies doubt, and doubt invites delay. Delay invites erosion. The rule was brutal in its simplicity. So simple it left nowhere to hide. Never promise what you are not prepared to suffer for. Not inconvenience. Suffer. And never retreat from what you have promised. Not quietly. Not later. Not in your own head. Once the words left your mouth, The path closed behind you. No side doors, no revisions, no emotional appeals. The modern mind hates this. It wants flexibility. It wants room to adjust when discomfort appears. It wants options stored away like insurance policies. It wants escape routes drawn into the map before the journey even begins. But every escape route weakens the spine of a decision. Every option dilutes resolve. Choice multiplies until action disappears. Reliability is built by narrowing choice, not expanding it. The samurai understood that freedom was not the absence of constraint. It was the absence of internal argument, the absence of hesitation, the absence of self-betrayal. The Last Ronin understood this when there was nothing left to enforce it. No banners, no ranks, no witnesses. Only the quiet weight of his own word. His freedom came from constraint, because constraint removed the daily burden of deciding who he would be. That question had already been answered. His calm came from inevitability, because once the path was chosen, there was no friction left inside him. The body moved, the mind followed. Modern psychology names this commitment bias. It observes how the brain aligns behavior once a line is drawn, how resistance fades when retreat is no longer an option. Bushido did not observe it. It demanded it. It understood that honor was not a feeling. It was a system. A structure that forced alignment between word and action, different words. Same mechanism. One culture studies it from the outside, the other lived inside it, and the result was the same. A man who does not negotiate with himself cannot be delayed by himself. The path becomes singular, the noise falls away, and what remains is not effort, but inevitability. Fire does not negotiate with fuel. It consumes what is offered or it goes out. Steel does not pause mid-forge. If the hammer stops too early, the blade warps. If the heat drops, the edge weakens. What is unfinished becomes unusable. Water does not stop carving stone. It does not ask how long it will take. It moves. And time obeys. To the samurai, consistency without gaps was sacred, not as obsession, as survival. A break in practice was never just a missed day. It was a signal, a quiet permission slip handed to the weaker self. Miss once, and the identity fractures. Not loudly, not all at once. A hairline crack forms where resolve used to be solid, invisible in the beginning, deadly over time. Not because perfection was demanded. Perfection was irrelevant. What mattered was continuity. Inconsistency teaches the nervous system that rules are negotiable. That effort can be postponed. That discomfort can be reasoned with. The body learns quickly. It remembers the exception longer than the rule. Neuroscience confirms what the ancients already lived. Behavior that repeats without exception becomes automatic. It bypasses debate. It bypasses mood. Behavior that allows exceptions remains fragile. It must be defended daily, explained, justified. That defense exhausts the mind. The explanation erodes resolve. And eventually the ritual collapses under its own weight. The samurai did not rely on willpower. Willpower was too human, too variable. They trained until reliability no longer required force, until action arose from stillness, until the body moved before the mind interfered. Practice became ritual. Ritual became identity. No excitement, no resistance, only presence. This is what the modern world misunderstands. Consistency is not endurance. It is alignment. The man who decides once moves through his days without friction. The man who negotiates daily bleeds energy in every small choice. The Last Ronin walked this path alone. No one praised the repetition. No one punished the absence. The only witness was silence. And silence remembers everything. By removing gaps, he removed argument. By removing argument, he removed delay. By removing delay, he removed doubt. What remained was inevitability, not effort, not struggle, just the blade, striking where it was always meant to strike. Ancient warriors did not improvise under pressure. Improvisation was for those who arrived unprepared, for those who trusted emotion to be steady when steel was drawn. They pre-decided, because pressure does not create character. It reveals it. And revelation is merciless. Armor was prepared before battle. Straps checked in silence. Plates aligned the same way every time. Not because the enemy demanded it, but because chaos punishes hesitation. Rituals came before disorder. The same movements, the same timing, the same stillness before motion. Codes were forged before temptation appeared, before fear argued its case, before survival offered compromises. The decision was already made long before the moment asked for it. The Ronin carried this inward. With no battlefield left, the war moved inside the body. When tired, he would still act. Not aggressively, not heroically, simply without debate. When doubting, he would still move. Doubt was acknowledged, not obeyed. It was weather, not command. When afraid, he followed protocol. Fear was expected, accounted for. Rendered powerless by preparation. This was not rigidity, it was mercy. Because a man who decides in advance is spared the violence of indecision, he is not forced to argue with himself while the moment closes in. Modern reliability works the same way, though it dresses itself in different language. You decide now how you behave when stressed. Not when stress arrives. That is too late. You decide now how you respond when tempted. Not when desire is already loud. You decide now what happens when motivation disappears. Because it will disappear. It always does. Without predecision, the mind scrambles. It bargains. It rationalizes. It protects comfort at the cost of identity. With predecision, the body moves calmly, almost impersonally. Identity is not revealed in moments of clarity. Clarity is cheap. Anion can feel aligned when nothing resists them. Identity is revealed in moments of friction, when effort is required, when relief is near, when the easier path presents itself as reasonable. That is where preparation speaks, or silence answers instead. The man who negotiates in the moment inherits chaos. The man who decides beforehand inherits inevitability, and inevitability, once internalized, cannot be argued with. Over time, something changes, not suddenly, not ceremonially, quietly. You stop explaining yourself, because explanation is what follows doubt, and doubt no longer lives where your decisions are made. You stop promising, because promises are unnecessary when behavior speaks first. When your presence arrives before your words do, you start being counted on, not praised, not celebrated. Relied upon messages are shorter. Requests are direct. There is no need to remind you twice. Your word becomes weight, not loud, not dramatic. No declarations carved into stone. Unavoidable, it lands before you do. It alters rooms without announcing itself. People adjust their expectations around it instinctively. This is the kind of man samurai trusted with command, not the fiercest. Not the most charismatic, the most reliable. Because in chaos, reliability is oxygen. It keeps others steady when uncertainty tightens its grip. It removes the need for supervision. It collapses fear into order. This is the kind leaders followed into uncertainty, not because they were inspired, but because hesitation died in their presence. The Last Ronin became this when everything else was stripped away. No banners, no rank, no audience. Only the residue of decisions repeated without exception. Reliability was all that remained, and it was enough. Reliability is not impressive. It does not excite crowds. It does not trend. It is terrifying, because it cannot be negotiated with. It does not respond to excuses. It does not bend for emotion. It exposes contrast. It makes inconsistency visible without accusation. It turns words into mirrors. Around such a man, weaker patterns feel uncomfortable. Not judged, revealed. He does not demand change. His presence applies pressure simply by existing. And this is the final transformation. Not becoming harder, not becoming louder, becoming inevitable. The man who decides once moves forward without friction. The man who negotiates daily feels the distance grow heavier with every step. By the time this difference is noticed, it is already permanent. There is no announcement, no turning point others can point to. Only one truth, felt rather than spoken. This man will do what he said, and because of that, Nothing else needs to be said at all. If this philosophy resonates with you, walk the Ashen Path. Subscribe for more lessons shaped by the Last Ronin and the unforgiving clarity of Bushido and Zen. The world does not need more intention. It needs men who arrive exactly as promised.